If you haven't already watched my Dunsparce run, I'd recommend doing that first. This video is a short follow-up to that one, so head on over there and then come back here once you're done. Link to that video is in the card in the top right, as well as in the video description. Now, let's get into this video. After defeating Red with Dunsparce using Return, Sleep Talk, Rest, and Toxic, I got very curious about the potential of Rollout and Defense Curl. So I've reset everything, and here Dunsparce is before the league with the same stats as in my previous video before the league. I've also adjusted the clock to start at the same time as well. Let's see if we can get through this easier now with a different moveset. Will's team is significantly weaker to Rollout than Return. I get super effective damage against Xatu and Jinx, and I'm set up for Executor, making them all easy KOs. Slowbro slows me down a lot though. I have to spend time resting up before I finally take it out. I land my final Rollout and Will is done. First attempt. So let's see how Koga is. His Bug Poison Pokemon and Crobat are weak to rock moves. Even without getting set up with Rollup, this fight still feels easy. Double Team could have been nasty here, but luckily Dunsparce knows I hate missing. She's really trying to impress me. Bruno's Pokemon are all physical attackers, and for that reason, I spend time setting up Defense Curl against him to make this fight more consistent. This is a great way to deal with his super effective Machamp. I also get through this fight on my first attempt. So far so good. So Karen is a different story. Umbreon is so tanky and I can't knock it out quickly. Because of this, it gets sand attacks off. I considered several times just resetting and trying this again because the fight against Vileplume was so painful. However, then surprisingly I knock it out with Rollout and move on to Gengar in green health. I get cursed, but I land Rollout and knock it out. I only miss against the Murkrow once, which takes me into the Houndoom fight with a tiny bit of setup on Rollout. I actually land it, and Dunsparce defeats Karen on its first attempt. So this league is actually feeling way easier than before. Before Lance, I use a Max Ether to restore the PP of Rollout. Gyarados sets up Rain Dance, allowing me to knock it out and set up Rollout for 2 turns. This lets me one-hit the next Dragonite, but I miss against the second one, and it paralyzes me. Paralysis messes with my use of Rollout, so I decide to rest up and heal it. This takes a bit of time, but I eventually start rolling again. Aerodactyl goes down to a single hit. Charizard outspeeds and takes Dunsparce down to 82 hit points. I really need to land my Rollout against the last Dragonite. I do, and with that I've defeated the league without having to reset once. Rollout is superior to Return here. While it felt easier, I do clock in only 15 seconds faster than before. That Karen fight really stole a lot of time. Now, let's try Red. I teach Dunsparce Return as Sleep Talk was useless in the league, and I set the clock so it's the same time that I started battling Red in my other video. I'll attempt him at the same levels I did before. Also, I'll reset the clock each time I attempt at a different level. So this moveset is always starting at the same time code as the previous one. Maybe Dunsparce can get by with a better time with Rollout, or get by at a lower level? Let's see. Level 72 is impossible. I learned 2 important lessons here. I need to get past Pikachu without having my attack stat lowered, as was the case in the previous video. I also need to use Return to knock out Pikachu and Espeon. At level 81, I reset the clock to be even with the previous run, and now I can get through the first 2 team members and arrive at Snorlax. Here I set up defense curls, 6 of them. I typically have to use 2 rests before finally switching into Rollout to knock the Snorlax out. This time I got to Venusaur with red health, and I KO it immediately with Rollout. Charizard outspeeds and knocks Dunsparce out. If I plan while I fight the Snorlax better, I can arrive at Venusaur and KO it with green health. This allows Dunsparce to survive Charizard's Flamethrower and knock it out with Rollout. Blastoise is last. I really thought he was going to use Rain Dance here. Why Surf? Seriously. I would have had it if it had just set up Rain Dance, so this is possible at level 82. In my next fight, I realized that I can stall Charizard out so that it depletes all of its Flamethrower PP. This allows me to get to Blastoise with green health. I get bad luck here and miss my first Rollout. I should have then immediately switched into Return to use Rest on the next turn, but I make the mistake of using Rollout again, and Dunsparce gets knocked out. The most discouraging thing during all these fights is that Snorlax gets a lot of critical hits with Body Slam. These really mess with my planning, and I end up fainting several times this way. I get back to Blastoise, but this time I'm locked into Rollout. Perhaps the additional damage will be enough to finally defeat it. The first Rollout isn't promising, and then it goes for Blizzard. Strange choice because it doesn't get Stab. I survive with 11 hit points, and I land my next Rollout. Dunsparce is victorious with a time of 5 hours, 32 minutes, and 50 seconds. That's a half hour less time, and 9 levels lower than my previous finish. I did artificially set up these scenarios. This means I didn't play through the game until this point with Rollout. If I'd done that, we might have a radically different time on the timer right now. This test was just to see if Rollout would make these fights easier, and it did. Thanks so much for watching. Like, subscribe, comment, and share with a friend. Also, here are my incredible Patreons. I'm collecting the original 151 of them. Links in the description if you're interested. You're incredible. I'll see you in my next video.